Alright, Shalom. Before I begin this video, all praise, honor, and glory goes into Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, GMS, who rule well and teach well, taught us His truth, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops. And enough respect to you brothers worldwide, teaching and preaching the doctrine of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, Barakatham to you brothers. And the title of this lesson is Battle in Los Angeles, right? Because the ICE, the deportation, this is just the start of something bigger. They start off with these small deportations, then it creeps into mass deportations. Then all of a sudden you're going to see people who aren't illegal immigrants, quote unquote. You're going to see people getting scooped up that, quote unquote, got their papers. And it's ultimately just an excuse for them to bring troops into a domestic setting. Says here from NBC News, why a court order barring ICE from targeting people based on their race isn't being enforced. The order issued by a federal judge in Los Angeles is on appeal by the Trump administration, making its visibility murky. So since they have an appeal, and everything's still kind of up in the air, they're using that to their advantage, which, whether these different things pass or don't pass, they can basically do what they want to do. Federal agents are violating a court order that prohibits them from racially profiling Latinos and other Southern California residents. See, so not only Latinos, but other Southern California residents. In each state, is going to have, ICE. It's not just going to stop at ICE. You're going to have FEMA. You're going to have actual troops. And then eventually you're going to have international troops. All right, it says in other Southern California residents, as the directive winds its way through an appeals process, immigrant advocates and local officials say. U.S. District Judge Miami Owusi Mensah Frimpong, a Biden-era appointee, imposed the temporary restraining order in L.A. more than a month ago. But arrests in locations frequented by Latino workers such as Home Depots and car washes have become daily occurrences. And the reason for that is because these different officials keep on speaking on their town, their city, even their state. You have different mayors up there in Chicago speaking on their disdain for what's happening. Yet they don't understand that ultimately this is a federal directive. Federal overtakes state. So this is a pissing match, if you will, to see who can piss the farthest. But you haven't even seen the real pissing match, because it's going to go from federal to international. UN troops, EU troops, NATO troops, right? Interpol. It's a complete disregard, said Angelica Salas, executive director of the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. It's almost like the rounding up of cattle in the road, which that's exactly what it is. The DHS, which oversees immigration and customs enforcement, denies racially profiling people in its efforts to carry out President DT's mass deportation agenda. Unelected judges are determining the will of the American people, the DHS said Wednesday in an email statement. What makes someone a target of ICE is if they are illegally in the U.S., not their skin color, race, or ethnicity. The American Civil Liberties Union and Public Counsel, which filed the original lawsuit in July, filed a new motion Tuesday asking Frimpong to order additional evidence from the federal government in light of apparent violations of her order. This limited discovery is needed to determine whether further action may be necessary to enforce the court's TRO and to inform what additional measures, if any, may be needed to ensure compliance with any preliminary injunction the court may issue, the motion reads. It details 6 arrests in August, 3 at Home Depots, 3 at car washes in LA County, that appeared to undermine the temporary restraining order. In one instance, it says federal agents detained 7 people at a Pasadena car wash, including a legal resident. We're still using every tool at our disposal to put a stop to this behavior. Last month, Soto's office led a coalition of 20 California cities, including LA, Santa Monica, and Long Beach, in joining a federal lawsuit alleging that the federal government conducted unconstitutional and unlawful arrests and raids without reasonable suspicion or probable cause. Which they don't need it. They don't need all that, man. These people still think they got rights. The organizations asked the court to stop federal agencies from using disproportionate force, which has sometimes led to U.S. citizens being detained. Sweep them up, scoop them up, and ask questions later. The federal government twice challenged the temporary restraining order, first in the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals and then in the U.S. Supreme Court. The ruling was upheld in the appeals court, and the Supreme Court has not weighed in on the issue. The lawsuit is set for a hearing on September 24th for a preliminary injunction that would extend the order as the case progresses through the courts. Yeah, so just like everything is being pushed along, right? Meanwhile, immigration advocates said that they recorded more than a dozen arrests at Home Depots and car washes in LA and Orange counties Tuesday. Volunteers who witnessed the arrests or went to the scene to help families get information about their missing loved ones said the workers all spoke Spanish. 8 people were arrested last week outside of Home Depot near a day labor center, which has been the target of at least 3 previous enforcement actions. So they hitting them multiple times. Video shot by immigration advocates and circulated on social media shows federal agents arriving in unmarked cars as workers run, some tripping over themselves. So they got thousands of arrests. As of Wednesday, Homeland Security has made more than thousands. And that's part of the hell that the Northern Kingdom is catching, being a part of these raids and things like that, because a lot of times the Northern Kingdom think that, you know, they're going to be able to basically hop and skip off into the sunset, which is not true. Even people with special needs getting jacked up. People with the slightest shade of brown in their skin in LA feared that they may be the target of immigration officials. It's across the board now. And it's going to extend. You know, it's not just going to stop. You know, it's so-called Mexicans. Okay, it's only going to increase. You're only going to see more and more troops. All right, let's go ahead and get a couple precepts and just get into it. All right, this is 2nd Esdras 15 and 17. And it reads, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled." All right, so they heard the prophecies. They continued on with their day. They continued on in their pride. All right, leaning on themselves, leaning on, the money. So now what's going to happen? Now we're going to have shutdowns. Now we're going to have 15-minute cities. Random checks. They're going to just walk up on you, check you, okay, move along. You're going to have, barricades. And they already have this place broken down into sections so that when they need to really shut it down, they can shut it down. All right, 2nd Esdras 15 and 18, once again, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled." All right, you're going to have troops up in there. People going to be tripping, stealing, looting, slashing and dashing. Right, the houses shall be destroyed. Yeah, so neighbor is going to be, going in against neighbor. Right, the 911 systems ain't going to be able to work. It's going to go straight to voicemail. The houses shall be destroyed and men shall be afraid. Yeah, so you're not going to have any confident men outside of the elect. Everybody else, even the like brothers constantly say, even the toughest nigga is going to be crying. It says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor." All right, so you're going to have neighbors plotting on each other. All right, so Dave got, bottles of water. All right, because these small things that you don't consider important is going to be important in that day. Water, food, medicine. It says, 2nd Esdras 15 and 19. "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword," right? And like we've been taught the modern day sword is the gun, as well as they're gonna have actual swords. You know how these niggas get down. Okay, they're gonna pull the sword off the shelf and go in, right? A knife is a sword. That's a mini sword. A kitchen knife used to cut bread or chop up vegetables, that's a sword as well. Alright, it's a weapon. It says, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So all this hell breaking loose and the lack of food, the lack of resources is going to create the perfect firestorm. Behold, saith Yahweh Shemel Shah, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Lebanus, to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them. So it's a payback coming. See, the Lord has put the spirit on these kings to go back and forth and fight over who's going to have the next empire, when in reality, Yahweh Shemel Shah is coming back. And he's going to set up the elect of the nation of Israel in the kingdom of heaven. Alright, that is the kingdom of heaven. The elect of the nation of Israel, right? The 144,000 and, the 1/3 being the elect. And then the 2/3 will be born through the loins of the elect and be righteous, ruling over the heathen, which is all the other nations, and having Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, woman, and child, having them in hardcore slavery, and then ultimately them being eradicated 1,000 years later, according to the book of Obadiah. Second Ezra 15 and 21. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, the Israelites, so will I do also, and recompense in their bosom, thus saith the Lord power. My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. And that's what they've done. Right, these heathens, chiefly Esau, Edom, his main job is to keep us away from our Lord by clouding our judgment, by making us doubt, by putting all sorts of poisons out here. This nigga, this devil, all these different philosophies that he's conjured up. See, this nigga has conjured up new philosophies. It seems like every other day you turn around, you got fucking Jake just making up shit. Right? Just conjuring up, new ways to go off. And that's our people, man. That's why two-thirds of our people will be destroyed here. Right? Yet they'll come back as righteous in the kingdom. Second Ezra 15 and 23. The fire is gone forth from his wrath and hath consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. Damn. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. Yeah, so good. All 2/3 niggas, stay away. Right, for the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction, by way of those nuclear missiles, by way of starving to death, by way of being mauled by wild beasts, by way of getting thrust through by the sword, all sorts of different ways. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and shall remain in them. For Yahweh Shem Shai shall not deliver you. Yeah, so he will only deliver the elect of the nation of Israel. Because ye have sinned against him. Yeah, so we have this chance, we have this opportunity now to turn to Yahweh Shem Shai. That's why we go out on the highways and byways. That's why we do our individual lessons. Alright? I'm calling out, telling the Israelites to repent, to turn to Yahweh Shem Shai before it's too late. Because they don't care that, here it is, people getting openly kidnapped in unmarked vans, and people just going about their day, all because it ain't them. But when they start scooping you niggas up, when they start scooping up just the average Joe, it's gonna be too late. They right in front of your face, okay, doing all these things, man. 2 Ezra 15:28. Behold, in horrible vision, the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, and all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them, and consume some of them, and in their hosts shall be fear and dread, and strife among their kings. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly. It's going to be major bloodshed. And dung of men unto the camels howl. I guess that's how you pronounce it, howl. And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon the earth. Yeah, so this great misery, death, and destruction is coming. Alright? To those that aren't of the elect. It says, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. And then shall there come great storms from the south, from the north, and another part from the west. And strong winds shall arise from the east, and shall open it. And the cloud which he raised up in wrath, the stars stirred to cause fear toward the east, and west wind shall be destroyed. The great and mighty clouds shall be puffed up full of wrath, and the star, that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein. And they shall pour out over every high and eminent place and horrible star, fire and hail and flying swords, and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood, and grass of the meadows, and their corn, complete destruction. And they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon, and make her afraid. And they shall come to her and besiege her. The star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto heaven, and all they that be about her shall bewail her. Yeah. Because they're going to see the destruction of this place, Babylon the Great, aka America. This place is going to be completely destroyed by ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles. The place is going to be completely destroyed. We're going to keep bringing it up. We're going to keep bringing up prophecy. That's what we're here for, to reveal the prophecies. This is going to lead, these kidnappings, It's only going to increase. These disappearing acts, you know, not being able to go from city to city. Okay, it's all going to lead eventually, you know, which once the CHIP comes about, see, once the chip comes about, it's going to really get to rolling quick. You know, so we're seeing that. We're seeing the moments right before the CHIP. All right, so with that, Lord's will, you are edified. Call halal, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors once again to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, GMS, rule well and teach well, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops. All right, and then likewise, shalom, the sincere shalom to you brothers out there, pushing and laboring, putting your best foot forward through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Kwame Asha'Allah, Abal Babal, and shalom.